The galaxy had known only one law for a very long time. Strong species hunted. Weak species obeyed or vanished. The predator empires ruled wide regions of space with fear and old power. Their ships were large and dark. Their cities floated like iron scars above conquered worlds. No one challenged them because no one survived such a choice. On the edge of this harsh galaxy, a small human fleet arrived by mistake. Their jump path had shifted during travel, pushing them far beyond mapped space. The fleet was not made for war. It was built for study, trade, and long travel. The ships were clean and light, shaped for efficiency instead of fear. J stood on the command deck of the lead ship and watched strange stars drift past the window. He did not raise his voice. He did not show fear. He listened to quiet reports and steady data. To him, survival came from patience, not pride. Hana worked nearby, studying signals that filled her screen. She noticed patterns in the background noise, signs of heavy traffic and old energy use. This region had been controlled for a very long time. That alone made her uneasy. Old power rarely allowed change. Mira guided the ship with smooth hands. She adjusted course with care, avoiding debris fields and silent wrecks that floated like warnings. She had flown in storms and near stars, yet this place felt colder than space itself. Day checked status reports from the smaller escort ships. They were scattered but intact. He reminded each crew to stay calm and keep shields low. Aggression often invited disaster. Sun listened without speaking. She watched recorded images of unknown vessels moving far away. Their shapes were sharp and heavy. They did not hide. They did not need to. Sun understood what that meant. The predator empires had noticed the humans the moment they arrived. Sensors older than human history tracked every movement. Predator commanders gathered and observed the small fleet with amusement. These newcomers did not roar. They did not threaten. They sent soft signals asking for location data and trade paths. The predators laughed. They saw prey. A scout vessel approached the human fleet. It did not ask permission. It cut across their path and flooded space with warning tones. The message was simple. Leave tribute or leave bodies. J did not order weapons ready. He asked Sun to reply. Sun sent a calm response. The humans were explorers. They meant no harm. They wished to learn local rules and avoid conflict. The Predator Scout answered with silence. Then it fired a warning blast that shattered a nearby asteroid. Rock and dust spread across space like broken glass. Some human crew tensed. They felt anger rise, but pushed it down. Jay raised one hand. He ordered a slow retreat and increased scanning. No shots fired. No chase. The predators were confused. Prey always ran fast or fought hard. Humans did neither. The human fleet moved deeper into the system, avoiding major routes. Hannah studied the predator ship data. She saw something strange. Their systems were powerful but rigid. Energy flows followed strict paths. Control signals repeated in fixed cycles. Old design. No change for generations. She shared her thoughts with Jay. He listened. He asked questions. He made no quick decisions. The predators followed at a distance. They enjoyed the hunt. They sent more scouts, then light attack ships. They tested the humans with small strikes, cutting communication lines and blocking paths. Mira guided damaged ships through narrow fields of ice and dust. She used small burns and sudden turns that confused targeting systems. One escort ship lost power and drifted toward a gravity well. Day led a rescue team. He did not wait for orders. He moved because lives were at risk. The team crossed open space under fire, reached the damaged ship, and pulled the crew out. Among them were two non-human traders, who had been captured earlier by the predators. They did not leave them behind. The rescued traders stared in disbelief. No one helped them before. No one ever returned for prey. Word began to spread. Sun contacted nearby neutral worlds using old trade codes. She spoke carefully. She did not promise victory. She promised respect. Some listened. Most stayed silent. Fear had deep roots. The predators grew annoyed. Their games were not working. They increased pressure. A blockade formed around the system. Heavy ships arrived, casting long shadows over planets below. J gathered his officers. He did not shout. He did not boast. He explained the situation in simple terms. The predators expected fear. They expected tribute. They expected surrender. Humans would give them none of these. Instead, the fleet would observe, adapt, and protect each other. Hana refined her data models. She found delays in predator response times when faced with irregular movement. Their command structure slowed decisions. Authority flowed one way. If leaders fell or systems jammed, chaos followed. Mira practiced new flight patterns with the pilots. No two ships moved the same way. No path repeated. They trained boarding teams for defense only. No attacks. Only protection and rescue. Sun prepared messages not for rulers, but for workers and soldiers. She spoke of shared survival and stolen futures. The predators launched a coordinated strike. It was meant to end the matter. Energy fire filled space. Human shields flared and bent, but did not break. Ships scattered as planned. The predators tried to adapt, but failed. Their targeting lagged behind constant change. A predator cruiser overextended and lost support. Human ships did not destroy it. They disabled engines and pulled survivors from the wreck. Predator soldiers stared in shock as human hands reached out instead of claws. The idea was dangerous. Mercy was unknown. The battle ended without victory songs. Both sides withdrew. But something had changed. The predators had not won. The humans had not broken. Across the system, silent observers began to whisper. The predators ruled by fear. The humans moved without it. J stood again at the window. The stars looked the same, yet the future did not. Humanity had stepped into a galaxy of hunters and refused to act like prey. And for the first time in countless cycles, the predators felt something unfamiliar: uncertainty. The predators were growing impatient. They had never encountered prey like humans. The small fleet had survived initial tests and even rescued captured traders. Their calmness, their careful planning, and their unexpected mercy confused the predator commanders. They sent new scouts and light attack ships, hoping to provoke fear, but the humans remained calm. J gathered his officers and spoke quietly. We do not seek war, but we must protect ourselves. Observe, learn, and act only when needed. His voice carried authority without aggression, which unsettled the crew at first, but they trusted his judgment. Hana studied the attack patterns of the predator ships. She noticed that they rarely changed their formations, even when they faced resistance. Their attacks were precise, but predictable. If humans moved unpredictably, they could avoid the worst of it and even create openings for rescue or diversion. Myra practiced daring maneuvers in her ship. She led small squads in simulations through asteroid fields and space debris. Every path changed with each run, so the predators could not anticipate where they would appear. The pilots began to trust her instincts as she guided them through narrow passages and sudden shifts in direction. They prepared boarding and rescue teams. When one of the scouts fired upon a small human cargo ship, he led a quick response to save the crew. The predators had expected humans to retaliate with weapons, but they prioritized life over attack. Even wounded predators were sometimes rescued if they posed no immediate threat. The humans' mercy was like a puzzle. The predators could not solve. Sun continued to communicate with neutral species in nearby systems. She sent messages of respect and shared survival, which contrasted with the usual fear-driven communication the predators were used to. Some species quietly observed humans with new interest, wondering why they were not destroyed like all others. A predator commander named Krav sent a fleet of mid-sized cruisers to force the humans into submission. They blocked the main route and fired warning shots near unarmed ships. Smoke and sparks trailed through space as some minor collisions occurred. The humans did not panic. They moved carefully, avoiding debris and calculating paths that minimized damage. Hana directed energy shields and deflection patterns to protect the most vulnerable vessels. She used the predators' rigid attack cycles against them. When predators adjusted, the humans had already shifted their formation. It was slow, careful, and precise work. Over time, even minor victories mounted. Myra led a dangerous maneuver near a small moon. A predator scout tried to trap them against its gravity. Mira twisted her ship through the unstable orbit, with other human vessels following. They emerged on the other side, intact and undamaged. The predators watched in disbelief as no ship was destroyed. Day led another rescue mission. A human transport carrying supplies was hit by stray fire, causing the loss of power in one section. Day's team went out in small shuttles and pulled crew members from the drifting craft. Even a few small predator fighters that had been damaged in the process were left floating instead of being attacked. The predators had never seen mercy in the field. Rumors began to spread among predator forces. Whispers of humans who did not act like prey. Stories of their calm and surprising rescue missions reached officers and soldiers alike. Some predators began to question the old ways quietly, though none dared voice doubt openly. The humans took every opportunity to study their enemies. Hana recorded every pattern, every weak point in predator formation, every hesitation. Jay compiled strategies based on observation, but he did not seek confrontation. The humans only acted to protect their own. One evening, a sudden ambush occurred near a dense asteroid field. Predator ships attacked with heavy energy beams, aiming to split the human fleet. Myra guided small craft through tight passages, dodging blasts and debris. Shields flared and shields held. A smaller cargo ship was damaged, and Day led his team to save the crew. Each human ship moved in unpredictable ways, forcing predators to misfire repeatedly. Sun intercepted transmissions from predator soldiers. She quietly replied to their questions, never revealing human strength, only offering understanding. Her words puzzled them. No one had spoken to them without fear before. The predators tried more direct intimidation. They captured an unarmed human shuttle and brought it aboard a cruiser. Instead of panicking, the humans remained calm. Jay and Sun negotiated its return, offering knowledge about nearby trade routes and environmental hazards in exchange. The predators were stunned. Humans negotiated as equals, not as frightened prey. By now, small victories and acts of mercy had changed the balance. Even the oppressed species in nearby systems began to quietly watch humans. Some sent supplies or information to aid the fleet. No human ship asked for assistance. They accepted it humbly. Krav and other predator commanders grew frustrated. Their games no longer worked. Every calculated attack was deflected, every trap avoided. Human pilots moved with a logic that was unexpected and merciful. Every effort to intimidate seemed to strengthen the humans rather than weaken them. Jay gathered the crew again. We do not need to be the strongest. We need to be wise. We need to protect each other. That is what makes us human. That is what makes us survive. His words were simple but powerful. The crew nodded, feeling a quiet strength grow among them. The predators launched another strike, this time with heavy cruisers in formation. They aimed to destroy human command ships and scatter the fleet. The humans spread out into multiple paths, using asteroid fields, debris, and unpredictable movement. They did not fight back with weapons except to block fire or save lives. One Predator ship, overconfident and isolated, lost engines while pursuing a human vessel. Jay ordered a quick rescue of the trapped crew. Human hands reached out to help, not to attack. The Predators began to understand that humans did not act like prey. They did not act like conquerors either. They acted with intelligence, care, and patience. Something new was forming, and the Predators did not know how to respond. The battle ended without a clear winner, but humans had survived. The Predators were shaken. They had underestimated these small ships and their calm crews. The humans had proven that fear and power alone were not enough to dominate the galaxy dot in the quiet that followed. The human fleet repaired damage and prepared for the future. Jay, Hana, Mira, Day, and Sun worked together as a team, not as commanders and subordinates, but as a united force. They had no need to boast. Their survival was proof enough that the galaxy had noticed humans now, even if silently, even if with disbelief. And the Predators began to understand something that would change everything. The humans were not like anyone they had faced before, and the humans had only just arrived. The Predators had grown angry. Their minor strikes and intimidation tactics had failed. The humans did not act like prey. They did not react with panic or aggression. They adapted and protected each other. The Predators called a meeting in deep space. Their leaders argued and shouted. They decided that only a full assault could crush these humans once and for all. Jay calmly studied incoming communications. He did not fear the large Predator fleet assembling. Instead, he watched their formations and signals. Hana analyzed patterns and discovered that their larger ships relied heavily on old tactical sequences. They repeated movements and relied on strict command chains. If humans moved unpredictably, the Predators could not respond fast enough. Mira trained the pilots for sudden changes in speed and direction. They practiced moving in swarms and breaking formation at critical moments. Each ship moved like a living thing, unpredictable yet controlled. The human fleet was smaller, but faster and smarter. They prepared ground and boarding teams. He emphasized defense and rescue. No attack unless necessary. The teams moved like shadows across the fleet, ready to save any crew caught in danger. Sun communicated with neutral species, gathering small allies who had long been oppressed by Predator rule. Even small information networks or transport fleets could provide critical support. She spoke carefully and softly, convincing others without promising power or reward. The Predator assault began. Massive energy beams lit the void. Cruiser after cruiser fired in patterns intended to overwhelm. Human ships scattered through asteroid belts and fields of debris. They dodged and twisted in ways the Predators had never considered. Every shot the Predators fired missed, hitting empty space or harmless rocks. One Predator commander, Karun, became frustrated. His fleet tried to follow strict tactics. The human ships moved differently every second. Some ships led Predators into traps, avoiding damage while others rescued civilians from damaged craft. The Predators' rigid systems began to fail. Commands arrived too late. Ships collided or drifted into each other. Confusion spread. Hana discovered that if humans changed patterns continuously, Predators could not adapt. She sent new maneuvers to the fleet, and each ship moved differently from the last. Even the Predators' largest cruisers lost advantage. Small human victories added up, slowly weakening morale. Mira piloted through a dense asteroid field to lure a group of Predator fighters into a trap. Human ships waited at hidden angles, using sensors to track the Predators' blind spots. The Predators were forced to retreat after suffering minor damage. They could not understand how such small vessels could outmaneuver them. Day led another rescue on a damaged transport. Predator scouts tried to block them, but human teams moved with coordination and speed. The crew was rescued, and even a few small Predator ships were left drifting instead of being destroyed. This act of mercy spread among Predator soldiers. They whispered about humans, who acted differently from any prey or enemy. They had seen Sun transmitted messages to nearby oppressed species. They began to observe quietly, sending small information about predator movements and vulnerabilities. Humans did not ask for these gifts. They accepted them humbly and used them wisely. The predators noticed this unusual alliance forming around humans. The full assault continued. Predator leaders grew angry as human strategy became clear. Instead of fighting head-on, humans spread across different paths, attacking only when necessary to protect. Jay coordinated movements so each ship acted independently yet in harmony with the whole fleet. No rigid formations, no predictable paths, no fear. Krav tried to take control of the battle personally. He ordered ships to trap a human group near a small moon. Mira led the group through tight passages, twisting and turning, leading predator ships into collisions with asteroids. Energy weapons misfired, and some cruisers were damaged by rocks. Humans rescued any survivors floating in space, never seeking revenge. The predators were shocked. Their biggest weapons, largest ships, and most experienced crews could not dominate the humans. Commanders argued among themselves, unable to understand how their prey could survive and even thrive. They had lost control, and uncertainty began to spread through the ranks. Hana revealed a critical insight to Jay. The Predator fleet relied on old orders, repeating the same moves for centuries. If humans kept moving differently, Predators could never predict them. Jay nodded and sent new maneuvers to the entire fleet. The battle raged for cycles, but humans did not break. They did not seek glory. They only protected each other and moved with intelligence. Even minor victories, like saving a trapped crew or avoiding damage through clever maneuvers, built confidence. Predator soldiers began questioning their leaders quietly. Finally, after many cycles of assault, a pattern emerged. Predator losses were low but growing, while humans remained strong. Some smaller Predator ships began retreating without orders. Rumors spread that humans were not prey. Some soldiers whispered doubts about the wisdom of endless conquest. Jay gathered his officers again. He spoke softly. "We survive because we protect each other. Strength alone does not win. Patience and care do. We are human, and that is enough to stand in this galaxy." Myra looked at the stars and smiled. They had survived impossible attacks, protected their own, and outsmarted ancient predators. Day and his teams prepared to rescue more crews if needed. Hannah monitored every movement of enemy ships. Sun continued quiet negotiations and observations. The predators, for the first time in centuries, faced uncertainty. They had never experienced prey that adapted without fear, fought without hate, and saved lives instead of taking them. Humans had not only survived, they had changed the rules of the game. As the battle ended for the moment, the human fleet repaired ships and readied for what was to come. The galaxy had begun to notice humans. Even predators could not deny that these small, calm, and clever beings were something new. Something dangerous, not in body, but in mind and heart. The humans had not yet conquered, but they had survived the full assault. The predators had lost certainty, and in that loss of certainty, humans found hope and strength. The predators decided to gather all their forces for one final display of strength. The galaxy trembled under the shadow of their combined fleet. Massive cruisers, hunting vessels, and ancient warships moved like a dark storm toward the human fleet. The predators believed this assault would end everything. They had calculated every move. They believed humans could not survive. Che studied the approaching fleet calmly. He did not panic. He understood that sheer strength could not defeat them, but careful strategy and unity could. Hana analyzed the incoming ships and their predictable formations. Even with all combined forces, the predators relied on the same old orders, repeated patterns, and slow command chains. Myra led small teams through narrow asteroid belts. She used sudden turns, shadows, and debris to avoid direct confrontation. Human ships weaved in unpredictable patterns, making it impossible for predators to target them effectively. Each move was designed to protect, not attack. Even small civilian ships were guided through impossible paths safely. They prepared ground and boarding teams. He focused on defending vulnerable ships and rescuing any crew caught in danger. When a predator strike tore through a transport, Day's team moved quickly to save everyone. Even small predator fighters damaged in the skirmish were left drifting, creating confusion among the enemy. Sun communicated with the oppressed species that had quietly assisted before. She spoke with calm confidence, encouraging them to provide what they could: information, supplies, or small fleet support. Even the smallest help made a difference. All eyes remained hidden but observant, ready to act if needed. The predators launched their assault. Energy beams and fire filled space, creating streaks of light across the dark void. Human ships scattered into asteroid fields, weaving unpredictably. Shields flared and bent under heavy fire, yet no ship was destroyed. Each human maneuver exploited the predator's rigid tactics. When one predator cruiser overextended, human ships diverted it into a debris field, damaging engines without attacking directly. Hana discovered that the predator's leadership had flaws in communication. Orders sent down the chain often arrived too late, causing confusion. She transmitted signals to the fleet to take advantage of delays. Every human ship acted independently, but in harmony with the rest. This coordination confused the predators even further. Mira guided a small convoy through a field of unstable asteroids. Predator ships tried to intercept, but the humans' unpredictable paths forced collisions and engine failures. Small predator fighters became trapped in gravity wells or drifted into asteroid clusters. Human ships rescued any crew they found, showing mercy even to their enemies. Day led rescue missions on multiple damaged vessels. Predator scouts attempted to block access, but human teams moved with efficiency and coordination. No human life was left behind. Each rescue inspired confidence and reinforced unity among the fleet. Humans were not motivated by fear or revenge, but by protection and care. Sun confronted predator leaders via long-range transmission. She spoke softly, calmly, and with authority. She explained that humans did not fight to dominate or destroy. They fought to protect each other and their allies. The words confused predator commanders, who had never considered motives beyond fear or conquest. Some soldiers began to question orders quietly. The battle continued for cycles. Predator ships fired relentlessly, trying to force humans into open space. Humans used debris, asteroid fields, and unpredictable flight paths to avoid damage. Minor victories accumulated. Predator morale began to weaken. Even some mid-ranking officers whispered doubts about the wisdom of the final assault. Che gathered his officers. He spoke quietly but clearly. We do not need to be the strongest to survive. We need to be united, careful, and protect each other. That is what makes us human. That is why we endure. Mira looked over the fleet and saw small victories everywhere. Ships that avoided destruction, crews rescued, predator fighters trapped or confused. Day prepared to save the last remaining crews from damaged vessels. Hana monitored predator movement, finding weak points and exploiting them. Sun continued quiet diplomacy and coordination with allies. The predators were losing control. Their combined forces were powerful, but they could not adapt. Human ships moved unpredictably, acted with unity, and saved lives without seeking revenge. The predators realized that strength alone could not win this battle. Uncertainty spread from soldiers to commanders, and chaos began to replace fear. The humans held firm. No ship was destroyed beyond repair. No crew was left behind. Their unity, intelligence, and care for each other created a shield stronger than weapons. The galaxy watched silently. Even the oppressed species, who had never dared speak, now saw hope in human actions. Finally, after a relentless campaign, the predators had no choice but to withdraw. They could not destroy humans, could not force them into fear, and could not control a fleet that acted with intelligence and unity beyond their expectations. For the first time in centuries, predator commanders experienced defeat without violence, without conquest, without understanding why humans did not pursue. They did not claim victory with pride. Instead, they helped repair damaged systems and rescued all who could be saved. Even some predator soldiers began to recognize the unusual strength of humans, not in weapons, but in heart, mind, and unity. J watched the stars, calm and steady. The humans had survived the final assault. They had changed the galaxy, not through fear or conquest, but through courage, care, and intelligence. The predators had learned a lesson they had never known. Strength alone was never enough. The galaxy began to shift. Humans were no longer mere prey. They had become a force that challenged the old rules, proving that survival, protection, and unity could change even the harshest universe. The predators had withdrawn, but the galaxy was not yet at peace. Their retreat left damaged systems, broken communication lines, and worlds suffering under centuries of fear. The humans did not celebrate. They did not claim conquest. Instead, they moved to help, showing the same care and patience that had guided them through the battles. J organized repair teams and aid efforts. Each human crew worked tirelessly to stabilize affected planets and rebuild critical systems. They coordinated with local species, offering support without taking control. Humanity's goal was simple: to restore life and safety, not to dominate. Hana worked alongside scientists from other worlds, studying the technology left behind by predator forces. She shared knowledge freely, helping local engineers understand and improve their own systems. Her approach was patient and careful, teaching others to protect themselves rather than relying solely on human intervention. Mira guided transport, ships through damaged space lanes. She moved carefully to avoid floating wrecks, energy hazards, and unstable orbitals. Her experience from battles proved invaluable. Civilian and supply vessels reached planets safely, and morale grew among both humans and local populations. They led teams to rescue stranded or trapped populations. On multiple worlds, old predator patrols had left citizens without food, water, or shelter. These teams moved with urgency and care, prioritizing life above all. Each mission reinforced the humans' reputation as protectors, not conquerors. Sun continued her quiet diplomacy. She spoke to former predator soldiers and commanders willing to listen. Some began to question their leaders' old methods. Sun encouraged dialogue rather than punishment, showing that strength could be measured in intelligence and cooperation. Not fear. As weeks passed, a network of cooperation formed across previously oppressed systems. Humans did not demand allegiance or submission. They offered guidance, aid, and knowledge. The galaxy began to see humans not as prey, not as rulers, but as a force that changed the rules of survival. Some predator commanders struggled with the new reality. Their old tactics, based on intimidation and dominance, had failed against humans who valued unity, intelligence, and mercy. Many withdrew entirely, reconsidering the cost of conquest. Their soldiers whispered questions they had never dared before. Could power alone truly rule? Was fear enough to maintain order? Jay reflected on their journey. Humanity had arrived as a small fleet, unarmed for war, traveling to explore and learn. They had faced ancient predators who believed themselves unstoppable. Instead of yielding to fear or fighting for dominance, humans had acted with calm, patience, and unity. The result was survival, respect, and a new understanding of strength. Hana continued her studies. She discovered that the patterns of predator fleets, though once unbeatable, could now be anticipated and countered. She shared her findings with allies, ensuring that knowledge would protect future generations. Knowledge became as powerful as weapons, without the cost of destruction. Myra's pilots trained young crews from multiple worlds. They taught how to move unpredictably, how to defend without unnecessary aggression, and how to act as a single unit despite differences. Flight patterns and maneuvers became lessons in unity and survival rather than tools of war. They prepared teams for future rescue missions. Even if the predators returned, the humans would be ready not to conquer, but to protect. Life and safety were the ultimate goal, not domination. Sun's diplomacy expanded. She established communication networks between previously isolated species. Trust grew slowly, yet steadily. They shared information, aided each other, and watched for signs of predator movements. Alliances formed not through force, but through shared understanding and mutual benefit. The predators, watching from afar, began to understand a new truth. Strength alone, weapons alone, or fear alone could not maintain control. Humans had proven that intelligence, unity, care, and patience could rewrite the rules of the galaxy. They had survived impossible odds and reshaped the future. Jay looked across the fleet at humans and allies alike. They had arrived in a galaxy that saw them as weak, insignificant, and fragile. Yet through patience, protection, and intelligence, they had changed everything. Humanity was no longer just a species. They were a symbol of hope and resilience. In quiet moments, the humans worked together, repairing systems, teaching, and protecting life. They did not seek glory. They did not seek to dominate. Their presence alone changed the balance of power. The galaxy had learned something new. Survival was not about fear. It was about care, unity, and intelligence. Even the predators began to respect this force that had refused to act like prey, refused to conquer for the sake of conquest, and refused to give in to fear. The humans had arrived not just as survivors, but as a new way for the galaxy to understand strength. And so, humanity continued its journey. Not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as protectors, as teachers, as explorers. They had arrived in a galaxy of predators, and had not just survived, they had rewritten the rules. The stars seemed brighter now, the paths safer, and the universe itself a little more hopeful. And humans, calm and united, moved forward into the endless expanse, ready for whatever challenges might come next.